Hello everyone, how are you doing? Today we're going to go over NewAge Darius, and I'm going to go ahead and, since it's a hot topic and it's going to be a couple of weeks before the video hits YouTube, I'm going to go over some of the complications or tricks with X-Transbot's Fuzz, which is a very weird figure. Very complicated, unnecessarily complicated, so that's what you get with X-Transbot, so not a huge surprise. But we'll just go over this guy real quick. He's a very cool figure. You see how he scales with his compatriot from NewAge, Agamemnon, who's like a G1 Megatron. Pretty dope figure. I've got somewhere. That's not it. Well, I don't know where it is, and I'm not sure. Here we go. He has some accessories. I thought I'd show them real quick. I'll show them inside the bag, because I just really don't care. He comes with, like, kind of a handgun. Comes with some spare faces. He comes with the Matrix on a chain, as you would expect from a Galvatron figure, and for some reason it's hidden away, but he comes with a sprue with some alternative hands, pointing fingers and spread fingers and so forth. So that's a whole thing. Alright, get some shit out of the way. Pretty dope figure, transforms like you see in the video. In fact, I'm kind of stoked for X-Transbot, so I don't know if anyone would mind if I skipped this. I mean, it's complicated for such a small figure, but there's no surprises. This thing transforms just like it does in the stop-motion video. So I'm just going to do X-Transbots because I'm really excited to discuss that. So that's all you get for Darius, I'm afraid. I wish Hasbro would make a figure that transforms like Darius, but, you know, was like leader-sized instead of that hot mess that they've got coming out in the Kingdom line for their own version of Galvatron. Their own hideously goofy, messed up version of Galvatron. That is getting washed out hard, so let me just tune it back a step. So, this is X-Transbot's Fuzz. This is in a vehicle mode right now, which is, I imagine for some of you out there, pretty tricky to get to. People talk about the hands needing to be in some random position, but they really do just fit in straight. You know, they don't have to, like, avoid each other or anything. But I'll transform it to robot mode. Mostly I just want to be back in vehicle mode by the time we're done here, so I can stop messing with it, and hopefully it doesn't break while I'm trying to do this, but I got to shoot it Sunday, so. You generally find to get the rear panel to come loose, you've got to get under it. You know, maybe you use some sort of spudger and not a knife like I do, but the knife gets it done because it's thin and rigid enough to push on it. But we just push that out of the way. Not a problem. The doors open, so we'll get those out of the way. The car, I mean, they went out of their way to have the car have an interior. I doubt MMC is going to do that, and for that reason, MMC is probably going to be a little bit friendlier a design. But to release the roof panel, we need to get these tiny little tabs to go under the back roof. One simple way to do that is to get a blade in there and then bend it down. And sometimes you have to do it multiple times on each side before it finally kind of releases. But it does release. You could probably pull on it, but I find despite it being a blade, it's a little gentler. And then we can tuck away the rear tailgate. We need to release these are die cast, but these metal locking mechanisms. And you kind of start bringing the legs to the knees together, because it'll create some, like these panels can only go out so far, but if you bring the legs together, they can go out a little further. We do have to spread the back of the hood a little bit, so it untabs, spreads out. Just get it out of the way. And what's going on here is there's like it's going over, there's like a block of plastic and it goes over and holds here, but there's also a tab, and so you kind of have to get the tab out, but you also, your goal is to get this thing to lift up a little bit. So we get this out of the way, and our goal is to get this, you can see it's kind of hooked over that plastic bit there, but we're just trying to get it to lift up. So now it's not hooked over anymore. So once you have that out, there's a little bit of rubbing, a little bit of overextending, but you're just going to unfold the leg like that. Now this is assuming, of course, that you've been lucky enough to get it into vehicle mode, which is, like I said, a challenge, but we will be going over, it ships as a robot, so we will go over how to turn it into vehicle mode as I go back to vehicle mode to prepare for the shoot. So we're just gonna be real careful and unfold this bit. So that's the legs. This part's die cast. Let me double check. It's plastic. For some reason there's been some scraping going on here, so I don't know what I did wrong there. Oh, I think it's I had to like fight with those tabs one time, and I think I scratched it in the process, but I damaged mine, so you don't have to. But we're just going to flip the feet out, get them out of the way. Same thing over here. Out of the way. The seat folds down, and you might think, I mean, you can kind of leave it like that, just gently pressed in there. I do find, however, if I allow a little bit of rubbing and I force the seat to rotate behind this this U-shaped thing, so now the seat's at a slight angle, I just find it clears a lot better. We're going to fold the rear view mirror in, and we're going to fold the window in, and then this all goes up here, and this tucks in there, and this folds back to cover that spot, and we bring out the foot. So same thing over here. Fold that over and bring out the foot. Compared to the upper body and the arms, the legs are easy, believe it or not. But now we're going to focus on the upper body now. And it is a little tricky and a little complicated. I think one thing I'm going to be going for is to just go ahead and, while everything's still kind of together here, I'm ending up holding it up way too high anyway. But these slide out. They're already slid out. And then they rotate around, and these kind of fold in. All right, and then it's on a little sliding joint. So I just like to get that out of the way, or do it last, depending on which direction you're talking about here. But that goes in like that. And the sort of forearms do untab from the front of the vehicle here. So we've got to get those loose. We do want these side panels loose. And then we're going to just fold the whole apparatus almost 90 degrees. There's some clearance issues we want to avoid. So we're just going to fold that down. Now that's folded down and out of the way, we can kind of start folding these over and rotating them up, and then we get like this. Before we jam it up too much, though, we're going to go ahead and flip this around. It's just ornamental. There's a smooth side for the car and a side with kind of a triangle in it for the robot mode. See, that's the goal there. So I'm going to go ahead and just get this out of the way. There we go. And this upper body is like a real WTF. The windshield just kind of tabbed under this. Once you have the arms loose, you can move the hood out of the way a little bit and get the tabs out. So it's not complicated. All right. So in order to get the arms out, and this will give you a clue as to how they get stowed later on in the first place. And in fact, I'm going to kind of do, I guess I'm going to do kind of what I planned for the video, and I'm just going to go ahead and turn these sideways, and we're just going to go ahead and get the arms. Instead of having all this stuff flop around, we're just going to go ahead and do the forearms now. So this is a little translation arm, and it goes up there. The hand kind of extends, and it extends so that the hook there's a hook that can go over the nub there, but there's also a tab here that goes into a slot there. And so once you get the hook in, then you can push the tab in, and the thing kind of holds together fairly well. We're going to do the same thing over here. We're just going to release the hand out and rotate it forward. We're going to flip this in here, and then flip the hand up and put it in position. So, and get that out. So that's the idea. I've just gotten the forearms out of the way rather than have it be like a big fat mess through the entire thing. Yeah, I mean, the one comment I have so far is about how the Autobot matrix of leadership that came with the Galvatron looks pretty cool, so I guess I'll throw you a bone here and actually take it out of the bag and hold it up. But it's got one of these little chains, and it's like a little die-cast matrix of leadership. It's pretty well done, and you know, you can put it around his neck like he does in the movie. Anyway, back to Fuzz. Huh, oh good. 2 people watching. You'd think people would be more curious about Fuzz. I know when I was trying to watch videos on how to line all this stuff up for car mode, and you know, the best video I could find, the guy wasn't even sure how he got it to go, but it was driving me nuts. The alignment is very particular. Anyway, so this is going to pop loose just a little bit. In the other direction, it kind of tabs. We'll actually do the other direction, so whatever. You untab these from each other, and then we like to rotate these out about halfway. They kind of get caught there. Now these a lot of these little shoulder joints that are holding the shoulder together are like super delicate, so let's just be real careful. But that's the idea there. And then this sort of glove box doohickey. It's hard to see in this light, I guess. I'm sorry. But it's like it's on a little swing arm. But we just raise it up and then we fold it in. And then it just has to be kind of there. It doesn't have to be in any particular place. With this arm out of the way, we also want to do, this is just mostly, we want to fold the steering wheel in and have it kind of sitting there too. And then we can fold the arm, that pivot joint all the way around. So now the arms are like this. Then we flip this whole thing over to get ready for some of the more complicated parts here. We're going to go ahead and stow away the arm, the upper arm. So this unfolds, this rotates up. You have to kind of get this thing started because it's on a double arm, but it kind of rolls over and squares off the shoulder. Same thing over here. Get this started and roll it over. And then we can actually go ahead and finish flipping the arms around. And this is the retention tab for vehicle mode, but it also fits into a slot in robot mode. So it kind of locks that part of the arm, that transformation joint, and puts it out of the way. All right. And then the next thing we need to do is we'll go ahead and do this weird little joint here. So it's a joint that pulls out. And boy, be careful with that. It just pulls out a tiny little bit. It's like on a pin that's not all the way in, you know. And then what we're going to do is we're going to bring it forward. We're basically, we want to rotate on that joint and not on anything else. We're not trying to rotate any other joints. So we're trying to go 180 with it. So I'm just going to manipulate the hinge that it's associated with, but now we're like this. So you notice this one is sticking up. So the L-shaped piece is sticking up. And in this case, the L-shaped piece is sticking down. Once you get that rotation done, you can relock this little horribly delicate joint. And we'll do the same thing on the other side. So, and I worked out an elegant way to do this for the video, but I'm not looking at my notes right now. So just make sure you pull this all the way out before you start trying to rotate it, because otherwise you'll break it. And then we're going to rotate this around. It hangs down like this, and then we lock it. So now both arms are like that. Just straighten them out, keep them out of the way. The one thing that really freaks me out about this is if you look closely, there's a tiny ball joint that is the shoulder of the robot. And it's just a tiny little ball on a tiny little stem. And man, I hope it's nylon, because I mean, maybe X-Transbots has come up with a new revenue stream where, you know, people can ask for this part to get replaced, and, you know, they charge you $50 for the part or something, because they are begging for that to break. So just be real careful with your joint manipulation. Don't cause undue stress on a joint like that. But what we're going to do here is we're going to flip up this center fake windshield. And then it gives us just enough room to rotate the two halves past it and put them in place so that they line up. So we're going to do it over here too. Just enough room for us to do that. There we go. And then with the steering wheel and the console pushed down out of the way, we're going to fold this windshield kind of in half and bring it up. And then it actually tabs in and lines up pretty well. There we go. And it tabs into the sort of the revealed back edge of the windshield after you get rid of the real back edge of the windshield. But it lines up like that and locks. Okay. And then we can kind of bring it up here. We want to bring these bits up and put them in place. They go right in the center. Everything else just kind of is out of the way as it can be. And then I like to bend this a little bit in, because we're going to match up those tabs there, right in the middle, and then flatten the whole chest out. And we're almost done. I'm just going to go ahead and put the arms in their natural position. There we go. And this head plate kind of smushes down a little bit. Look, it's on a little double hinge, and then you rotate the head and stand it up. And then there's like a little tab that tucks into this fork here. I'm just going to push it out a little bit. You can see it's sticking up now. And then this kind of collapses a little bit. And then we're just aiming the tab into that hole. And it does actually lock it together pretty well. And then this is pretty much how he will ship to you. And if you don't want to spend like the hour that I spent fiddling with this to figure out what the correct alignment was, because the instructions are certainly not going to tell you what the correct alignment is, then you would follow my advice that will be starting in about a minute after I see if we have any other comments. JA, that's like my initials, says, unpopular opinion maybe, but XTB designs are getting worse, overcomplicated, and end up looking like a mess of panel lines and kibble. You're not wrong. I like complicated figures, and, you know, the purpose of my channel is to take a complicated figure and explain it as clearly as possible. So for me, X-Transbots gives me an opportunity to take something just ridiculously complicated and at least get it better than the instructions had it. But it's kind of not fun. And I worry about the little tiny bits breaking. Black Dragon says, yeah, that ball joint is scary, especially when dealing with that complex transformation on the arm. Yeah, it's just ridiculous. Like the little ball joint, the little piece. I mean, there's you know, the ball joint is here, and that's part of this L-shaped piece. But then there's this little piece that, and it's like on a rotation joint, but it's a rotation joint that you have to pull out before you rotate it. I cannot imagine how many people out there are not going to realize that you're supposed to pull that out to get it to rotate, and they're going to be trying to force it, and they're going to be pushing on the ball joint to oh god, it just gives me nightmares. So hopefully this information will reach some people and save them from breaking their thing. J.A. says, compare this to Trailbreaker Hoist, and this figure looks like a step backward with all the gaps. Nothing really finishes clean. I think it's interesting. They have interesting ideas, X-Transbots, but maybe the implementation is a little too, like, it looked good on CAD, but then when they actually have to, like, build this, it you know, it holds together a lot. I mean, the cup that they had, the lock, that first attempt at lock, that thing was just falling apart in my hands. Like, it was not a good build. The factory definitely screwed that up. But there was also some serious design flaws because it was like almost impossible to get the head to pass through on lock. So, I mean, this thing, when you get past the shitty directions and you know how all the joints work, this thing it transforms fairly clean. Really, the biggest rub is getting the legs, you know, back into car mode, trying to get them past all those bits. But even that's not the end of the world. But you got to it's got to be in the right sequence, and the instructions they provide are not the right sequence. Yeah, the chest is, I don't even think it came proper from the factory. Like, it was only when I transformed it back to robot mode that I started realizing that the chest kind of tabs in. And I was like, oh. Yeah, it looks pretty good. It's not too bad. It's very panel-y because it has a huge part count. It's too complicated, I think, but they had fun with it, I suppose. All right, so we're going to transform this into vehicle mode, and here's where a lot of that, you know, a lot of people out there might be looking at this video and they have this in robot mode, or they have it, you know, partway to vehicle mode, and they just can't get the arms to, like, seat in properly, and oh, it's a real nightmare. The instructions are not clear. But what we're going to do is we're going to get that peg to pull out right there, and then we can stow it away. And I just like to extend this a little bit. That's for vehicle mode, and it lets this sit flatter and out of the way for now anyway. And then we do want to release the front tabs, and I just sit the whole thing forward a little bit. We can get the arms up and out of the way. I don't remember which way they go in this direction to be super elegant and not move them too much, but I'm just going to get them out of the way. And we're just going to rotate the hood bit, or the side panels, the quarter panels, the wheel wells. We're going to rotate those as far as they go and just get them out of the way. The head does have to pop up. So it's just on like a little tiny swing arm, and we do want to rotate it and flatten it out like that. Now the rubber meets the road when it comes to aligning the fake windshield bit. So we're going to untab the fake windshield, and then we're going to start extracting this out. And it just helps to get a spudger or something to kind of straighten that bit out like that. And just keep it out of the way. Keep it flat. Now what happens here is the center of the fake windshield can go up a little bit. There's all kinds of little hinges in there. But the main thing is you're just trying to get it to go out of line with the other one. So you want it up. And there's little tabs on the bottom of the center fake windshield. There's little tabs hanging down. And on top of these, there's little tab holes. And that is a clue. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to get this past here. And I'm going to rotate this one past there. And our goal now is to, you know, these multiple weird little hinges. But the main thing is we want the tabs on the center windshield to go into the tab holes on the side windshields. And we want the whole thing to sit flat. So we just rotate it around until they're all lined up properly. So there's your alignment, and I just want to make sure like the white blooms, but then the dark colors, you know, it's harder to see, so I'll just change the lighting. But that's the goal. That's lined up. So the tabs go in all the way. The center windshield kind of sits up at a little bit of an angle compared to the tops of these bits. And this is the part, this is the alignment that if you don't have it right, then everything from here on with the arms is going to drive you nuts. But you can see the real windshield's going to tab under this, so this kind of sits up a little bit and so forth. All right, so we're going to get the arms worked in now. The first thing I recommend doing, like the instructions tell you to like blow the arms apart so that you get to deal with that mess the whole time, and I don't recommend that. But the first thing we should do here is go ahead and lift up this weird little locking joint. And we're just going to, the goal is to turn it around 180 degrees. So however it suits you to do that, that's the goal. Because when we're done, now the L sticks up. So this L still sticking down, this L sticking up. And you can also think of it as pointing towards the top of the shoulder. Okay? So we're going to do the same thing with this one. We're going to pull it up firmly, but not too aggressively. Start rotating it, flip this, and then finish rotating it, and then lock it. So now the arm is, we're just going to get these out of the way. So now the arm's like that. And then we're going to start rotating these joints. And right after we start rotating them, what we're going to do is go ahead and flip out the steering wheel and get it up. This thing's kind of hard to get a hold of, so you need a spudger to start opening it. But you want to open up like the glove box bit and lift it up so that it kind of sits on the face plate, the head plate. And then we need to make sure that we blow out the shoulders the way they're supposed to be. So let's get those. So we're going to flip this part up and flip it again, because our goal is to have it nice and flat. There is a tab here that comes into play when you go to vehicle mode. There's a slot. There's a slot here, and there's like a tab on the seat that goes into that slot. So the seat is kind of part of how it's all locked together. We do want to get this, and how am I going to do it? I think I'm doing it this way. But we just want the hood out of the way, because this tab's going to have to go into the other thing's hole. So we're just doing the shoulders, getting ready. We do have to flip this down and fold it flat. I forgot to do it over here, so I'll do it here. And I'm just trying to hold the parts involved and not, put too much stress on these tiny, tiny little joints. But then it gets a little confusing at this point, but we do want to flip this over so that we're looking at the underside now. All right, so get these out and flip that like that. That's what I wanted. All right. So there is a tab that goes into a hole there, but the hole has some give. So the tab, it's like an alignment tab. You can see the tab, the little bump right there, and a little hole, the real indentation right there. But that's just an alignment tab, and at first what we want to do is have this at a slight angle. We're going to rotate this in. This is where you're going to get some catching between here and the center arm. But we want this to go like that, so that it's hooked over the center arm. You can do the same thing with this one. And again, if you don't have those faux windshields lined up properly, none of this will fit. It'll drive you insane. It very nearly drove me insane. And we're getting these tabbed together. Okay. And then now that they're here, now that you've reached this point, you want to push these up, and they're going to kind of pop behind, and it's real hard to describe or to catch on camera. But there's these kind of cylinders. It's like a little double joint that was in there inside the faux chest. And you're trying to get these panels to pop behind them. And so that's why we're at a bit of an angle right now. And then when we pop it in, line it up. So now it's flat. So it's locked in there properly. Anything short of this is not going to line up, and it's going to make you crazy. We can go ahead and take the care of the forearms. So I'm just going to flip the fist over. I'm going to flip out the sort of front of the car here. Line it up here. Remember, we're not doing these yet because why have more stuff in your way? You flip the hand around and fold it over so it kind of sits like that. And we're just going to do the same thing over here real quick. So good. Fist. And this is on a little hinge, and we line that up. And then we can put the fist away. The fist goes in like that. And then we can rotate the front of the car, because now they won't run into each other. So the idea is, remember, these are on little sliding joints, so just make sure they're compressed. And then like I said, I have the sequence worked out, but you know, there's always some variability in how the order you can do things, but it really helps to, before you start locking the arms up, to get the windshield under there while you have a chance. All right. So at whatever point, we can pull out these sliders and kind of unfold that bit and rotate this 180 degrees and lock it in. So that's one front of the car done. There we go. So it's like that. And then we do the same thing for the other front of the car. And just be careful with those sliders. Don't pull on them too hard. Make sure that they are cooperating. And this is at a slight angle, and we flip it around and lock it in. And those do kind of lock together, although that it'll come loose a lot, so be prepared. All right, so we're going to lower these down and rotate them out so they end up here. And I find at this point, before you get to the legs, just go ahead and lock it in so that you're not dealing with it, you know, unlocking. But we fold this up here, so we're aiming that into the hood. And the idea here is that there's like a slot on the inside of these bumpers that catches that tab there. But you're going to end up bringing the bumpers loose for the legs anyway, so don't get too carried away. But the whole thing lines up like that. And I forgot to flip the thing around, so I'm just going to do that real quick if it's not too late. There we go. That's why you need a good set of instructions or a video. All right. So that's the front of the car. And I mean, like, if you don't have these outer windshield bits tabbed into the center windshield and aligned that way, just so, it's going to drive you nuts. If you let the windshield fall out at this point, it's going to be a bit of a problem, but I'll get it under there. Come on, buddy. There you go. So that's that. Square things off. So this is properly aligned. I went over how this locks in properly, so that's good. And the legs are a bit of a complication, so let's make sure we go over those. So we're going to fold in the heel spurs. We're going to pull the, well, we can fold this little bit down here. I think it's interesting how the legs actually have kind of a faux back windshield that's kind of compressed. I mean, I think it's a clever figure. It's, you know, it's a lot of engineering. It's a lot of little steps, you know, but it kind of works. I just worry about some of the small little armatures and joints and stuff over time. You know, it's like, is it going to break? I don't know. So we can flip that out. Bring the foot around. Foot I scratched all the shit. Oh well. I mess my shit up so you don't have to. And we can fold, yeah, we can fold this back down. Okay. And we also have to remember we kind of jammed the seats in there to keep them out of the way. But we got to kind of pop that seat loose. And I just don't like to stand the seat all the way up yet. I like to leave it out a little bit because remember that tab is going to go into that slot theoretically. So it's easier to just do that kind of last instead of trying to do it all at once. All right, so you need to make sure that the sort of ratchet joint gets folded up, and then the main joint gets folded up. You don't want the door to 90 degrees. You want it almost closed. And we do want to angle the leg in so that so it goes out. All right, so we're just going to work that past there. We've got a few things we need to line up, and then we can do the other leg. The idea here is we do need to loosen this skirt here to make sure it's not in the way. We want to fold the leg down. We want to aim the tab in, but at the same time we're trying to get this sort of cup to capture that bit of shoulder there, which I'm sure puts undue stress on the shoulder in some way, because why wouldn't they? But we do have to aim the tab in and then get the cup to engage and then get things to line up. It's fiddly, and the windshield popped loose, and it's part of my problem with alignment right now. Okay. Thanks, windshield. Big help. This is the part where I break my fucking toy and then I can't shoot it. Alright. Stay in, windshield. Please stay in. I mean, the problem with popping those things loose is it allows the windshield to escape easier, so it is what it is. But we are trying to line this up, and there is like a tab and slot on the back of the hips and on the leg. They give you the alignment. So try to keep that compressed while you fiddle with this bit. This is in the way because it's not popped anymore. And we put this in. There we go. So now that tab, we can re-engage this side of the windshield so that it kind of holds there. This kind of loosely holds that, just to make sure it doesn't pull in that direction, I guess. And we do want to make sure that we're keeping that foot tabbed into its little tab. So that's one leg. And then we do the other leg. Remember, we're going inward a little bit. Got to force this ratchet joint to go by pushing on it. Fold the rest of that hinge and just get this to dance past the edge of the car. I hate their clearance issues, man. I mean, kind of gives me a job, so to speak, but it's still kind of sloppy. So we're trying to get this under here. Make sure the door's not in the way. And we're capturing, getting the tab in there. We're getting this stupid quarter panel out of the way. And like that. Then we can spread the legs out, make sure that the feet are tabbed into that back of the thing, and things are starting to line up better and better, hopefully. We re-tab this so that it captures the door frame. We lock this in. Make sure everything's nice and straight. If you haven't folded these joints up, the two joints up completely, then what you're going to find is the hips are like doing the thrust forward that you don't want in car mode. Keep the doors open a little bit so that we can line things up. I'm all the time getting the seats like ahead of this bump, and you can kind of force them past, but I mean, really, you've got to kind of get this seat to come out a little bit so that it'll. It's a common problem that I've had with this is that the seat gets caught forward, and I don't want it caught forward. Let's see if I can just pry it this way. There we go. So we do want it this way, and the seat does tab into that panel that I mentioned. And so we're going to do the same thing over here, and somehow it's going to be just super easy, I guess. It's fascinating. Except the seat's not going to seat. That's cute. What is wrong with that? Come on, seat. The problem is the tab's not lining up with the thing. It's being obstinate. There we go. Maybe. Nope. And then the seat got caught forward, like it does. I've never had this problem before, so I'm a little vexed. Why won't the seat fucking go down? Jesus Christ. Why won't it? What's lined up wrong? And that's lined up. That's lined up. That's lined up. Just fixing the front a little bit. But the seat does not want to fucking go. And I can't quite see the tab. I'm having trouble actually spotting the tab on the seat. So I can't get it to... I want to push too hard on it. Man, I don't know what to tell you. The stupid seat is stuck somehow. It's like this thing is too far up, maybe? Yeah, something's pushing on that. Interesting. There we go. Got it. So the thing was pushing on it. I don't know what to tell you. All right, so we're making sure these tabs on the feet are engaged and lined up again. And it's typical of X-Trans bots, but you know, like you have a figure that doesn't really lock together in car mode until you have everything together. So we're just going to go ahead and get the roof on, which is a big part of locking it in. So we get that loose and out of the way. We lock the roof down past those little tabs. Sometimes easier said than done, but it gets caught like that. And then there's slots and tabs here that line up, and then you can bring this down, and like it has, there's tabs on the backs of on the knees here, but it locks in and starts really kind of coming together at that point once you have everything available to lock it in. And you know, I'll probably have to transform this again to like fix some of the car alignment, because there's definitely like a most aligned you can achieve with the car, and it's almost perfect. But as anyone could see, there's just a ton of panel lines, and you know, even if they're aligned up perfectly, it's still a ton of panel lines. It's kind of cool. The headlights pop up a little bit like they do in that model of car, the Nissan. And we're back to car mode. I'll have to clean that up and get it ready to shoot, but I'm not going to mess with it anymore because I don't want to break it before I shoot it. Let's see. JA says there's always nuances to XTB transformations you're not going to know about until you transform it a few times. LOL, indeed. I'm not slamming XTB. I love a lot of their figures. Yeah, I mean, their instructions could be a little better. I do have the patience of a saint. So tell me, Peelister, will the XTB Protectobots be part of the robot or vehicle mode display? I don't tend to do a vehicle mode display, since I will probably get the MMC set. And the jury's out on these guys. This thing was frustrating enough that I was like, do I really want to do all the X-Trans bots ones? But I really do like Defensor, so I can kind of rationalize it that way. I don't know. I think it depends on which one looks cleaner for combined mode, and which ones I feel like have a better robot mode if I wanted to do it that way. Maybe I'll just sell one of the sets that I like. I'm much more inclined to maintain the MMC set. I really like the all built-in concept. But we'll just see. We'll see going forward. It's in flux. Right? I mean, I got one of the older X Transbots designs. Where is he? Is this fucking nightmare? You know, wind charger. I mean, it already has like a broken part that fell off. I mean, I think it's just a screw, but still. But that thing, oh boy, is that thing not aligned. I got it because I was going to shoot it, and I had to say, I can't shoot this. It's not possible. It's stupid. Is XTB Defensor going to work exactly like Menasor? I don't know if Hotspot has a trailer. I don't know what they're doing in terms of the combiner body. That's one thing I like about the MMC all built in, is it's more of in the spirit of a combiner. Whereas like the Zeta style looks great as a combiner because you've got the hips and thighs and chest have come out of nowhere as a single unit. But, you know, you take the center robot, the leader of the team, the guy that connects everything together, and you're just wadding him up into a cube and shoving him in the back of the torso. I don't know, that doesn't really... That doesn't have the feel, the transformation feel of a combiner to me. Which is why, even though they're shorter than, you know, they should be, I like the MMC all built in so far. That's a great Bruticus, and I'm sure they'll make a great Defensor too. And I hope they go on to make other ones. I hope they're super successful with that. I don't care. I don't care about scale. Scale doesn't bother me. In fact, I've been getting the pieces of the Magic Square Menasor. And so I've got the 2 leg guys and the whole trailer and body of Menasor, and man, that thing's clever. I'll have to shoot it one of these days when I have a down week, but I'd like to have all the pieces before I go trying to shoot it. Okay, Black Dragon approves of my my hands alignment. Actually, it got a little screwed up. Should be like that. Yeah, it's a real pain in the ass. Real pain in the ass. Not fun at all. Yeah, I mean, they could have, but they didn't want to. They wanted to have a new and hideously complicated bot. Like, the wheels, I can line this thing up better, but I was doing it at arm's length on Livestream, so naturally it didn't go perfectly. But I'll have to tweak it and get it all lined up so that at least it looks good in vehicle mode for the turnaround. Because right now it's a little bit off. It's uneven. I wonder why it is, you know. Need that kind of fixed it. Anyway, gang, that's all I have to say about this. Ostensibly, this week's video was intended to be about NewAge Darius. Again, great figure, transforms exactly like in the video. And just because I love Agamemnon so much, I'm just going to put him up here too. Maybe YouTube will choose this as the thumbnail. I know I can choose my own thumbnail or upload my own thumbnail, but I don't want to. I just want the live stream to be whatever it is. Anyway, gang, thanks for watching. Thanks for dropping by. Hopefully I've shed some light on the details of putting those arms away on XTB Fuzz that will help somebody out there. None of the videos I found when I was trying to do it myself had any idea. Like, one guy had it lined up, and I was like, oh, thank God he has it lined up. But then he was like, I don't even know how I got it lined up. And I was like, okay, good. The real breakthrough was realizing that there are tabs on the center fake windshield that go into the outer segments of the fake windshield. That's the alignment. Am I going to get Zeta Flash? What is Zeta Flash? I don't know. Let's see what Zeta Flash is. ZV02 Flash Zeta Toys. No. I know what you're talking about. No, he transforms very similarly to the one I got, and the one I got is the one I got. I'm not made out of money. Honestly, got a lot of XTB figures, but Fuzz so far is making me feel better about MMC pre-orders. Yeah, MMC's just their transformation designs are so clean and pleasant. It really makes them much more like toys. It actually makes their panel lines less obtrusive. I mean, you saw the back of the arms on that. Even the robot mode, the back of the arms are just a god-awful mess of screws and bits. I think MMC's, like the best thing going in terms of the masterpiece grade figures. I'm real impressed with their Ocular Max line. Not just the, the combiner, but like a lot of my fill-in figures were Ocular Max. Anyway, I appreciate everyone dropping by. I hope some people pick up this video later and get some use out of it. But this Sunday I will be shooting Fuzz. That'll go to my locals for my supporters. And then the following Sunday, whenever I shoot whatever else I'm going to shoot, it'll arrive on YouTube. So we're looking at 11 days. Let's see. Wednesday, Thursday, Friday. Yeah, 11 days from now, the Fuzz video will be up. But I just thought I'd give a preview. I didn't get a pre-order in for the female Tarn. Neither of my vendors that I generally use for anything I intend to shoot, neither of them had a pre-order for it. So I don't know if it was exclusive to one online vendor, but I can live without it. It's not the end of the world. What concerns me is there's a lot of MP collectors who only keep their stuff in bot mode, and I think might be who XTB is starting to give into. I guess. I mean, the bot mode's okay. It was a Planet Steel Express exclusive. Interesting. Well, I guess I won't get it. It doesn't bother me that much. It didn't look all that complicated. Oh, by the way, this Sunday on YouTube is going to be the Good Smile Company Cycleon. It's kind of like a little chick that turns into a motorcycle. It's not very complicated, but it looks nice. That's what's on locals right now and will be on YouTube on Sunday. So that's where I am. Yeah, I don't see the... If you could get an action figure that doesn't transform if you didn't want to transform it. I don't know. I prefer things that are kind of toyetic and pleasant and sensible. I mean, even people give MP44 a lot of criticism because they think it's too complicated. And it is very complicated, but it's not unpleasant to me. Like, this is unpleasant to me because, like, you have to kind of force parts past other parts. And MP44, for all of its complexity, if you do it in the right order, you never run into a clearance issue. It transforms perfectly. Yeah, X-Transbots has never really gotten out of that zone where they have weird clearance issues and you just have to kind of force parts and worry about breakage. Anyway, thanks for dropping by, and everyone have a good, any number of days until we talk again. I don't know, I guess next week's live stream is going to be Cycleon. That'll be like a 3-minute live stream. Put any other questions in the comments, and have a good one. Talk to you later.